I'd like to introduce our keynote speaker today. Please join me in welcoming Travis Mack, Chairman and CEO of Saalex.
All right. She told me I could do whatever I want. That's a little dangerous, don't you think? All right, well, good. Well, listen, I am excited to be here and really looking forward to the conversation that we're going to have today. Also, this is certainly like a homecoming for me. I mean, to look out in the crowd and to see all of our friends, Derek and Dan and Admiral Hash, we certainly appreciate the invitation. I'm excited to share a topic that's kind of near and dear to my heart. And if anyone gets up here and tells you that they all have it figured out right now, they're lying to you. But we're excited to go through the process. And I like to remind people we've kind of been here before. So I am looking forward to this, and I certainly want to start by thanking the CCAP committee for inviting me to be the keynote for the 2026 subject that is truly impactful in our space. As my kids often remind me, and I am certain I will say something that most, if not all of you, will not like at some moment during this speech. AI and automation. The advantage goes to the adopters. Good morning. I'm Travis Mack. I'm the chairman and CEO of the Saalex Corporation, a 1,000-person, employee-owned advanced technology company that provides capabilities in the areas of information technology, agentic software modernization, software development and engineering, test range operations and management, robotic process automation, and wargaming support. I always like to start with an historic level set for these types of speeches. So when someone says we've never seen anything like this before, I say that's a bunch of BS. This seems familiar, yet entirely unprecedented. But I like to remind people we have been here before. Let me explain. The first industrial revolution, 1760s, steam and water. It changed how we work from man to machine. The British actually led during this time, but they were so protective of their lead that they actually passed laws banning the export of machinery and the immigration of skilled workers. Let's go to the second industrial revolutions, the 1870s, electricity and oil. Labor became standardized and repetitive by the 1890s. The US has surpassed Britain in manufacturing output with a massive internal market and pioneers like Rockefeller, Ford, and Edison. Let's move on to the third industrial revolution, the 1960s. Now let's talk about computers and IT. Logic moved from paper to silicon. The US dominated the architecture of the internet. The design of the microprocessor and the birth of the software industry. And lo and behold, here we are, the fourth industrial revolution, which is actually going on right now. 2022, artificial intelligence and automation. Judgment moves from mind to algorithm, the era of smart systems. Will we dominate this industrial revolution? That is the question, and that certainly remains to be seen. In my opinion, it's a two-horse race between us and China. Historically, the winners were those who moved from isolation to integration the fastest. I actually think the demand signal is pretty clear from the administration. Just think back, published January 9th, 2026, from the Secretary of War. Memorandum for Senior Pentagon Leadership. Commanders of the combatant commands, Defense Agency, and Department of War Field Activity Directors, Executive Order 14179 by signature of the President of the United States. It says, it is the policy of the United States to sustain and enhance America's global artificial intelligence dominance in order to promote human flourishing, economic competitiveness, and national security. AI-enabled warfare and AI-enabled capability development will redefine the character of our military over the next decade. I think that's a pretty clear signal. And I think it's been enforced and enhanced and continues to be communicated day in and day out. So what's next? Let's talk about anxiety a little bit. Today in 2026, we are no longer asking if AI belongs in the theater of operations or the back office. We are asking, how fast can we weaponize it for efficiency? Those who embrace this message will completely have the advantage, and the advantage goes to the adopters. From anxiety to advantage. Let me start with what I hear most often when AI comes up in defense circles, which actually kind of disappoints me. And that's fear. Fear that AI will replace people, fear that we'll lose security or control, fear that adoption means risk we can't afford. I understand that. But here's what I've learned as I lead Saalex through a complete AI transformation. Let's be clear. AI does not replace responsibility. It replaces task in the DoD environment. Humans remain the sole authority for decisions and outcomes. But the advantage, that advantage, goes to those who stop viewing AI as a threat and start viewing it as a force multiplier. And in a world where our adversaries are moving at a machine speed, I don't think we have the luxury of waiting. We are in a full sprint. So the question isn't whether to adopt AI, it's how to adopt it rapidly, responsibly, and at scale. Before we talk about the how, we must align on the what. At Saalex, we break it down into two distinct engines. And for those who are very familiar with the topic, I'm probably rehashing a lot of things that you understand or know and have spoken about and read about. But at the end of the day, I think it's really important that we understand some of the fundamentals of how we got there. So first, the distinct engines that I'm referring to. AI, the intelligence, is the brain. It reads, analyzes, recommends, finds patterns in data no human could process alone. It drafts, it triages, it predicts. Automation, the digital connector. This is the nervous system using unattended robotic process automation, URPA. We link that intelligence to mission systems. It routes, it triggers, it completes, it connects systems, enforces workflows, and execute decisions once they are made. AI sees the anomaly, automation triggers the alert, and populates the report. One is theoretical, the other is operational. Here's the critical insight. AI without automation is just insight without action. Automation without AI is just speed without intelligence. You need both, and you need them integrated. So let's talk a little bit about the Saalex journey and kind of a blueprint for integration. And these are talking about subjects that we've actually done and things that we're actually doing. So this is not theory by any shape, form, or fashion. This is actual execution. So the Saalex journey, a blueprint for integration. So we underwent a total transformation to become an AI-first organization, starting literally in January of 2023. Now, I'd be lying to you if I told you we absolutely knew exactly what we were doing. The one thing I wasn't gonna do, though, I wasn't gonna wait. I didn't wanna be late. I didn't wanna be behind. I felt like being behind was really more of a challenge than figuring it out, learning through failure, failing fast. Those are all kind of mottos that I use day in and day out. And sometimes you just gotta iterate yourself through it. So we followed a 4-step model that I believe is a pragmatic path for any defense-centric entity. We didn't start by chasing shiny objects. We didn't try to go build our own large language models. We started by asking, where does friction cost us and our customers the most? Where's that pain point? So first, the foundation. AI-first business systems. We rebuilt our entire business systems infrastructure. We embedded AI into every core function that we have. Finance, HR, contracts, IT, program operations. These were systems our people touched every single day. And they were built for the last decade, not this one. So we rebuilt them. AI first, AI embedded from the ground up. Again, not having a clear path, but certainly wanting to iterate ourselves through a very tumultuous, and I would say scary time that we're all going through. Predictive analytics in finance to forecast risk before it materialized. Natural language queries in HR so managers could ask questions in plain English to all our data. Workflow intelligence in contracts so bottlenecks surfaced automatically. This wasn't about technology for technology's sake. It was about reducing cognitive load so our people could focus on high-value tasking. So lesson 1, start with your own operations. If you can't make AI work internally, you won't make it work for your customers. Second, automation as the digital connector. AI can tell you what to do, but it can't do it for you unless you connect it to the execution. That's where automation comes in. We stood up a dedicated unattended robotic process automation, we call it URPA or URPA group, to build the digital connective tissue between AI and action. We thought URPA was so important that we lobbied to get it included in the 2026 Department of War National Defense Authorization Act, known as the NDAA. And lo and behold, congressional representatives agreed. So, URPA automation initiatives are called out in the 2026 NDAA. Here's an example. AI anomaly in a contract compliance dashboard. Automation immediately flags the contracting officer, pulls the relevant clause, workflow status and cues the corrective action. AI interprets, automation executes. Together they close the loop. And here's what matters for DoD. Automation ensures auditability. Every action is logged, every decision is traceable. You get speed and accountability. So lesson 2, automation isn't optional. It's how you turn intelligence into impact. Phase 3 for us, AI management system and data lake. Now let's talk about the elephant in the room, data. AI is only as good as the data it can access, and in most organizations, including ours, before transformation, data lives in silos. Disconnected systems, proprietary formats, manual handoffs. We built an AI management system trademarked as SAMS, the Saalex AI management system anchored by a secure data lake. This system ingests structured and unstructured data from across our operations and makes it queryable in real time. We're a services company. We don't build large language models, as I mentioned. For us, that would be an expensive pipe dream. But at the same time, we must create more value. We created that value by providing a 360-degree real-time operational view for our DoD and DoW customers. Intelligent dashboards, predictive alerts, anomaly detection. Our customers and our employees can prompt for everything in our secure environment. This allows for real-time insights that provide DoD leaders with ground truth in seconds, not weeks or months. So lesson 3, you don't need to build your own LLM. There are other folks out there that are doing it in those wonderful foundation models. And by the way, those are being they get better literally on a monthly basis. You need to build the infrastructure that lets AI work on your secure data securely and at scale. So fourth, the execution. Saalex digital workforce agents and agentic software modernization. This is where it gets exciting. The convergence of AI and automation enables us to create our trademark Saalex digital workforce agents. These aren't just bots. They are software AI agents trained on specific mission tasks, contract reviews that used to take days, now take hours, systems administrators functions that required 4 sysadmin now requires oversight from one who now manages agents. Logistics monitoring that was manual and reactive is now predictive and automatic. These agents scale capacity without scaling headcount. How about agentic software modernization, where AI helps us deliver legacy code modernization? Acceleration, we are automating large code repositories, understanding and mapping legacy patterns to modern frameworks, guided refactoring to modern architectures, auto generation of tests for fragile modules, and delivering comprehensive documentation at the same time. Reduce cycle times, enhance schedule recovery, demonstrable quality, while achieving 98.5% faster times and reducing 15.5 weeks of software development time down to 9 hours. That's impactful. And more critically, I think, every action is auditable and compliant. We didn't eliminate accountability, we embedded it in the system. So lesson 4, digital workforce agents and agentic software modernization are the future of scalable operations. They work 24/7, they don't get fatigued, and they make your best people even better. So where does the value show up first, if you're wondering? Where to start? Let me give you a short list based on what has worked for us at Saalex. Number 1, triage processing. Thousands of sensor feeds to find the one that matters. 2, drafting. Let AI generate first drafts, humans refine and improve. Number 3, analytics. Let AI surface insights buried in your data. Number 4, knowledge capture, turning decades of retiring engineer expertise into searchable intelligence. Number 5, workflow automation. Let AI route, remind, and resolve low-value tasks. Number 6, monitoring and reporting. No more monitoring, and for God's sakes, no more manual reports. The data is already there. Have AI and automation assimilated. These aren't moonshots. They're practical, measurable, and defensible. And they deliver an ROI in quarters, not years. So workforce leadership, what do we have to do to reduce the fear with fluency? Let me address the human side of this transformation, because technology is only half the battle. Your people are worried. They see AI and think, am I next? Here's how we address it, and here's how we are addressing it. And I think it's a continuous battle every single day. Training. We don't just train people on AI, we train them with AI. Hands-on, safe experimentation. You have to get in there and you have to use it. You have to deploy. You have to give people the opportunity to touch it. You have to give people the opportunity to understand how does it benefit them in their day-to-day activity. If you don't allow them to do that, then they can't grow with AI. Everybody in this room should take it as an action upon themselves to play with AI 1 hour per day. Use it in any capacity, in any function that you want to use it in your daily lives. It's impactful. They must use it to experiment and change the way we think about doing the work. We have to think about doing the work differently. Policy clarity. We made it crystal clear. AI assist, humans decide, safe experimentation. We've created sandboxes where teams could try, fail, learn without consequence. At Saalex, we tell our team, AI won't take your job, but a human who knows how to use AI might. We invest in training, not to turn everyone into data scientists, but to turn them into AI pilots. Here is a call to action. Because I think the administration and leadership is asking us to go faster in so many different ways. So please know, if you are still debating how to use or implement AI and automation within your business environment, you are behind. I would probably say 2 to 3 years behind at this very moment. And every year you wait, in my opinion, it compounds by a factor of 2. This is an iterative process, and you must start to fail. And I would say with the clear intention to fail, because you got to know that you're not going to get it right on the first time. You have to know that. Take the losses early. Make the CapEx and R&D investments now. The wait and see era is over. To our partners and vendors, Saalex is looking for solutions that are AI ready, testable, and auditable. We don't want black boxes, we want glass boxes that are transparent. Transparent systems where we can see the logic, validate the data, and measure the outcome. Let's stop talking about what AI could do and start demonstrating what it is doing to our customers. To our customers, please give us the flexibility to innovate. Please. You can't ask me for innovations and then tell me how I can innovate. Kind of defeats the purpose, don't you think? Remove the bureaucracy and security roadblocks. Allow us to go faster. You have the President and the Secretary of War demanding we should go faster with AI adoption. I think the National Defense Strategy points this out clearly, and I think it's reiterated throughout that document. I think you look at all the initiatives that are in the National Defense Authorization Act for 2026 and the National Defense Strategy, I think it points it out very clearly that we have to go faster. So in closing, here's what I want to leave you with. Today, we are in a full sprint with our adversaries to iterate and to do it as fast as possible. We must think about how we do the work differently in an age of ubiquitous intelligence. We must remove unnecessary moats and allow innovation to lead, or we will not be the innovation leaders any longer. I truly am excited about the journey. I will readily admit, scared, unsure, but not willing to let fear derail forward movement. And with that, I thank you so very much for your time. And I think Carrie said I could take questions if there are any questions in the audience. Thank you so much. All right, I can't see you because of that big ass light back there. But if you raise your hand or whatever the case may be. Yes, sir.
Can you talk more about how you use it for your knowledge capture? I thought that was very interesting.
Yeah, so knowledge capture, I think, is one of our, our biggest challenges. I mean, us as, defense contractors, of course, we've been used to capturing knowledge in siloed systems, if you really think about it. So the way that we thought about knowledge capture was, hey, you know what? We got all of these great systems, right? You got a system for HR, you got a system for finance, you got a system for program management, right? You got all of these great systems, but all of them are separate and distinct from each other. So the knowledge capture from our perspective was really trying to get what I like to call an AI wrapper around everything and really pulling it all together. So now you have that 360-degree view around the entire organization. And to me, I think that adds value, right? I mean, our customers don't want to be waiting for information. We have to be able to deliver it. And, in this day and age, I think being able to deliver it instantaneously, right, or with a query or with a very well-written prompt is something that's truly important and valuable, not only to us as an organization to drive value, but also to our customers and responding to whatever their needs are.
Travis, better hear me. Hey, when you spoke to your knowledge capture, similar question, from your internal engineers who are looking to graveyard out, so that you've got that repository of what they've learned, what they've experienced, and how they've overcome. You've got that as a ready reference. How are you getting them to transition that gray matter into something that you can ingest into your knowledge base?
Well, that's a difficult question. And to tell you that we have it all figured out, that's not the case. I think where we do have some of it figured out is that we're making it actionable, right? And so we are ensuring that how we're capturing this information is in the ecosystem, for lack of a better term. And in my mind, right, once it's in the ecosystem, I got it, right? Now it's about a well-written prompt in order to go and pull that information out in whatever format that we may want it in. So I really think it's about knowledge capture, getting it into the ecosystem. And what's the most efficient way that you can do that without making it a pain in the ass for everybody in the environment?
So follow up and clarification.
Yes, sir.
How are you incentivizing those engineers to capture those thoughts, their experiences, so that the next generation is ready to do it?
So we're trying to make it as easy for them. I think one of the things is, show me an engineer that loves documentation. Yeah, okay. I think I make my point, right? So what we're trying to do is devices, making it easy for them to access. We're just trying to remove friction for getting the information out of here into the environment. Yes, sir.
So how did you take your existing silos of data and put it organize it into a searchable system?
Sure.
Company-wide.
One of the first steps is we looked at all of our business systems and we said to ourselves, okay, what's the first thing that we can do? At that time, if you think back in January, I think ChatGPT was released and, oh, by the way, we're still less than 3 years into this, folks. I just want to make sure everyone understands that. 3 years into this. So I think we still have a long way to go. But to answer your question, we started out by saying to ourselves, okay, let's make sure every business system in our environment is AI enabled, right? AI enabled was the function that we were doing, right? And we wanted to make sure that there was some kind of wrapper around that data. And then once we understood that, and every business system that we have these days, right, has some kind of API functionality tied into it, right? And we negotiated that as well, right? Making sure that we could get to the data and we could tie the data to everything else. So the first thought, to answer your question, was AI-enabled business platforms. That was the very first start, right? And we were still trying to figure it out, don't get me wrong, but that was the frame and the context that we started from.
So that works for your new data, but your old data that you have in those silos.
You gotta move it.
Gotta move
That was the pain part, right? That was the pain point. You have to move it. So if you decided to go from system A to system B, you had to go through the data extraction. You just had to go through it, and that was the painful part. In all honesty. Yes, sir.
Not to get down in the weeds, but for validation of your data, right? When you're going through these AI platforms,
Sure.
right? Especially like finance, for example, systems can hallucinate things like that. Especially for financials on even contract deliverables, that's a scary thing, right? So, what type of validations were you doing across your different business silos for the integrity of the results of your AI?
Sure. I think everything. I mean, and look, when we talk about hallucinations and things like that, we're talking about 3 or 4 revisions prior to where we're at right now. Have you seen 5.2 Codex? How about Opus? 4.5, whatever the case may be, through Claude. I think the large language models have gotten extensively better with addressing hallucinations and stuff like that. But to answer your question, validation is always done by the human. It's always done internally to the organization. So it's not like, you're just, letting AI do everything within your environment. There's always a validation process, and you have to build that in to doing the work differently. That's what I meant when I say do the work differently. It no longer requires us going through the same kind of steps when we're depending on a different type of, for lack of a better term, labor set. It's a different process. So we have to think about these things differently, and validation has to always come from, a human in the loop, as I like to refer to it as. Yes, sir.
I think this might be the last question. Carrie's ready.
Oh, Carrie's got me. Carrie's gonna give me the hook, guys. I gotta go.
So real quick, large language models, you mentioned
Sure.
that you aren't developing your own, so
Nope.
you must be using a commercial-based model. Can I ask what you've had the most success with and how you might test others while implementing something that you already have?
Sure. I think it's really, you got to understand from our perspective who our customer is, right? And so whatever's being literally looked at, and FedRAMP is saying, okay, you know what, you can play in the secure world that we play in. That's really where we have to depend on. So, from our perspective, Microsoft and OpenAI, that combination right there, right? That certainly has gotten the approval of FedRAMP, the FedRAMP stamp. Claude is another large language model that we use as well. That has gotten the FedRAMP stamp, as well. And so I would say, right now, those are the two biggest large language models that are in the environment. And the government just come out with another one saying, hey, you know what? We want to go faster. We want to get other models in place that we can utilize much more efficiently and quicker, for lack of a better term. So I think that, that pool of large language models that are out there, those foundation models that we're using, I think it's going to expand. And I think there's going to be multiple models that you're going to have access to in our space. Remember, security is always leads for us. I'm a firm believer that security shouldn't impede innovation, but security is is one of those mindsets that we have to always keep our head around.
Thank you.
Carrie, is that it?
Yep.
All right. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Good to go.